God damn, Gary. Some serious gourmet shit. What flavor is this?
That's right, it's the all-hell medium roast private blend.
Check out the Geek Grind Coffee Nerdrotic page for our other options like the Decadent, Feathers of Liberty, vanilla-infused flavored coffee.
Or if you're looking for something darker, try the Dark Roast FNT blend of the Fellowship. You know what? Just buy all three. GeekGrindCoffee.com. Use discount code Nerdrotic. Huzzah!
Salon Selectives presents hair so beautiful you feel like you just stepped out of a salon.
Salon shine, Salon Selectives, Salon glow, Salon Selectives.
Introducing Salon Selectives, new from Helene Curtis. 4 salon shampoos, 4 salon conditioners. You select the combination that will give you salon beautiful hair.
Salon style.
Feel salon beautiful every day.
Salon Selectives.
Wait, I've got an idea.
You look goofy.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Woke, whoa.
It looks like Chuck's taking the skin boat to Tuna Town.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
God darn it, Mr. Lamar. You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
I learned a long time ago that there's no sense getting all riled up every time a bunch of idiots give you a hard time. In the end, the universe tends to unfold as it should. Plus, I have a really large penis. That keeps me happy.
I hunted, Rob. I hunted for Tobey Maguire's dick.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Nerdrotic.com.
I knew if I had enough clips there, Chris would get here right on time. What's up, Chris Gore?
What's going on, man?
What's going on? And welcome, everyone, to the Nerdrotic Nooner, because everybody needs a nooner, especially on Hump Day. Welcome!
Yay.
And it's been a while. It's been a while since we did one.
Feels like it's been forever.
Feels like it's been forever. Which
since
makes
we had a
them
nooner.
so much sweeter. That's right. Just got back from Los Angeles, California. We survived. Had a great weekend at the LA Comic-Con. So great that Mrs. Nerdrotic actually didn't want to come back right away. She's like, let's keep going.
I know.
And I said, no.
I'm so sad.
I want to get the hell out of California. No.
It's not the place, it's the people.
It's, I think, well, it's some of the people and the place. There's some really cool people in California still that need to get out at this point. It's a failed state. But no, actually, Mrs. Nerdrotic's going back. That's why we had to come back. She's going back to San Francisco. Ugh. I'm skipping that one. So Disney continues to be in trouble. Another Hollywood strike looms next year. I don't know if you heard about that, Chris, but
yeah, I have heard about it. Yeah.
Yes, as one ends officially today, the Film Actors Guild strike officially ended today. They ratified the agreement, and it looks like they could stop working again July 31st of 2024. That would be disastrous. Hollywood would be doomed. It would truly be doomed if that one went a long time. And they had to push everything out from 2025 to 2026. Theaters would be screwed, absolutely screwed at that point. I mean, there's things they can do, but not for that long, right? And we'll get into it, and we'll also talk about our panel, which, by the way, are on. But all the panels from LA Comic-Con are on Film Threat as we speak. You can go watch them right after this live stream. And we're going to talk about Death of the Modern Franchise and how Disney is going, and kind of recap the weekend and our experience with The Fellowship, which continues to give me hope. Hello, Chris Gore.
How's it going, Gary? I'm coming in hot today. Just a lot going on. A pour one out for Ralph Cirilla, who passed away. Ralph Cirilla, Ralphie Cakes from the Howard Stern show.
No way.
Passed. I knew him for years. Was friends with him. Every time I went to New York, I would go visit Sirius XM Studios. He did a show called Geek Time where he would talk nerd stuff. I don't know if you remember that show. I was the co-host of the show for 2 years after G4 ended, and I just learned, from a text message from a friend of mine, that he passed away. So there you go. Ralph Cirilla, pour one out. If you know who he is. Yeah, Ralph, he was the best. When they did that, the Stern show on E, they would do the evaluators.
Yes.
And he would come out with the laser pointer on the girls. Yeah, that was hilarious. But yeah, no, love Ralph. So it's sad news.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry,
it's all
buddy.
good, man. It's all good.
Well, yeah.
Not to bring it down. Sorry. And then our panels, probably, I got to compliment, the best panels I've ever done at a con. The variety of voices and people, the opinions coming in, the engagement from the audience. And I think you pointed out on the Real BBC that, like, our panel was packed, and then the very next panel was Kevin Smith. And it was kind of, now it wasn't Kevin Smith's panel. He was the moderator, but I like your mug. That's pretty good.
Someone very sweet got it for me.
Hold it up to the camera a little more. Show the
just a little bit if you can read it.
No, a little the other way. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, and you have to get the full view.
It says unt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I love drinking out of my unt.
Well, there you go. We just kept making jokes about it all weekend. Like, where did you leave your mug?
Unt mug. Where'd you leave your unt?
Where did you leave it?
Where is it? I left my unt at Chris's. Chris, can you make sure you bring my unt?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I need to make sure I bring it home.
That joke went all weekend. But these are the panels were the best I think I've ever, like, at a con, in terms of just the speakers, everything else. The video is not that great. It's serviceable. You can watch it, but I'm not really happy with how that turned out at all, unfortunately. But I'll get better people on it next time, I think. So
Well, they did the best they could, but like sound is always the issue,
Yeah.
and if we can record through the soundboard, that's kind of the biggest thing. So you get like a lack of echo.
I would do that. The guy Anthony Ray Bench, who was my co-host on when Film Threat was only audio, would just record off the board, and we would just run the audio. But whatever, it is what it is. I'm not happy about that. I'm very happy that everyone on the panel did their job. They were so good. They were just like. And every point was just like boom. There wasn't a moment to breathe. And the audience, when I would ask them to like line up and ask questions, they were just like into it. So I'm really proud of putting together that great content. And then I've got an award show on Sunday, which I can I make an announcement?
Yeah, of course.
So I do this annual award show called Award This. It's sort of a parody of an award show. You know, we kind of make fun of Hollywood, but we award these little small indie movies that is Film Threat's bread and butter, these small films that you don't really get to hear about. So there's like 75 of them nominated across 20 categories. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Sunday, December 10th. You can go to awardthis.com. And here to announce, Lila Hart is our host for the show.
Oh, wow.
She is the host. And
I love it.
Love Lila.
John Bailey, Epic Voice Guy, is our announcer. We've got lots of special guests. If you want to rub elbow, it's the only award show you can get a ticket for. So, and tickets are low as I think like $20. And there's a discount code. I think it's Film Threat -20 or Film Threat 20 to get 20% off tickets. We have limited number of tickets available. So there you go. Come to the party.
Come to the party if you can.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to miss it, but
yeah, no, it's all good, man. You would like it. You would like it. We're doing some comedy bits in the show. I have comedian friends of mine that are doing stuff, including this friend of mine, Leah Nauer. She recently auditioned for SNL. That's how good she is. And she's going to be there along with Lila, my buddy Tommy Bechtold. It's just a lot of fun. You know what? Hey, we're going to have fun, and you're going to learn about a bunch of indie movies that you may want to end up checking out. That's it. That's what it is.
We got some well, first let's get to
people.
Hi.
Hello,
X-ray
Agu.
I'm so excited. It's almost like 19 days till Christmas.
Oh my
That's
God.
insane.
Yeah, where are your direct decorations? I saw the chat asking, and I'm asking too.
I have not pulled out the Christmas tree yet, but there's a plan to do a Christmas tree building / shelf building stream. So we'll just do it all in one.
Oh, thought it up. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah.
That's my little
Expect that.
capitalist. So proud of you. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, bad news. I hate to start with bad news, but Godzilla -1 leaves theaters tomorrow.
Are you kidding? I thought it was extended.
Did it get extended? Because did they change their mind? Because it was set to leave theaters tomorrow. Did they extend
Godzilla?
it? Godzilla -1. It was only going to have
I'm
a
going to
limited
check
run.
right now.
Check right now.
No. It's still in theaters for me in Canada. We're doing something right.
I was on Twitter today. Is it just said in IMAX? Okay, so it's just in IMAX. Well, that sucks. They should change their mind on that. That's good because I had plans to go see it again. So it is extended. We love it when things are extended.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
All right, then I'm gonna go see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
If
it's a leave in IMAX,
Yes.
then I'm gonna see it tomorrow too.
It's
as
in
well.
laser, but not IMAX. So laser is like a digital. It's actually pretty good. The laser projection. So it's just not in IMAX theaters. Napoleon is in IMAX. How's that
even possible? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Ridley Scott, but whatever. I'd rather see Godzilla -1, my favorite movie of the year. I can't wait to get it on 4K and watch it at my home theater, but I need to see it in IMAX again because holy
One
crap,
more time.
that was so good, so good. Okay, well that's good news. At least it's gonna run. They'd be insane. The word of mouth on this is incredible.
Yeah,
and well deserved. So go see it if you haven't. I really like it. Yeah, AMC has the laser beams.
Fire
Laser
and
beams.
Laser.
So, I'm not a financial analyst, and we're not going to get in the weeds on this, but did you hear about Disney's little trouble with Reedy Creek? Apparently, they were bribing people. on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the theory. I don't want to speak. You know, we've been inundated with all these emails from current and former Disney employees. One of the things Disney likes to do business overseas, because to get what you want, you just bribe.
Yes.
It's really easy. That's why they like to do business overseas. This is some of the things we're hearing.
Yes. China. Like, how are they able to get a park in China and do all that stuff? Well, bribe and, thank the occasional concentration camp too. I mean, there's that. But they're going on. They're going to be going on some pretty hard times. Next year, we only have Deadpool 3, which is currently filming. I think they're finishing up principal photography.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a fast turnaround. So they must have been working on some special effects, and that's fine. We heard some things that we cannot talk about.
Right. Yeah.
But there's going to be some exciting things in Deadpool 3. There is, like, legit surprises. Just be ready for that.
I actually think Deadpool 3 will do well. I mean, I don't know if it'll do as well as the first two, but I think it'll be considered a hit because it's a palate cleanser. It's outside of everything we care about in the MCU. And by that, I mean nothing now. But it's also because of Deadpool is just allowed to do anything. Obviously we got, and this is the thing that is going to be really interesting is when you see Hugh Jackman in the yellow Wolverine outfit, it looks effing cool. For them to make this dumb criticism, well, it doesn't look cool, so let's make them look like they're going to a fetish club in West Hollywood. That was the X-Men costumes for the first movie, directed by Bryan Singer. When actually you put some effort into bringing it into the real world, that yellow costume can work. We've seen this. We've seen stills that are bad. Imagine when it's photographed correctly and color corrected and all that. It looks great, and I'm super excited about it because he's going to make fun of the MCU. He's going to make fun of Phase 4. He may make a joke about Kang. Who knows? But Deadpool, there's no rules. So I kind of feel like it's the thing that Marvel needs right now is for everyone to just relax, movie that you have a good time, and you can make fun of yourself, which is none of these movies can do. I mean, and Marvel's ending its run. My God, that 80 million US domestic. I mean, we could not have. Yeah, I could not have predicted that.
No, I could not have predicted that it's they're going to stop reporting because there's nothing to report. And we talked about it on the Real BBC, and it is shocking that it didn't even go like a month without them reporting. It's still going to be in some theaters, but it's going to peter out, and I predict it'll be on Disney Plus before Christmas for sure. And then we'll get the articles of it's the most watched thing on Disney Plus according to us, Disney. Thank you. Trust us. Yeah. Trust me, bro. And Bob, made a lot of waves with his bullshit interview with the New York Times, which was ill-advised. Again, I don't have a lot of respect for Bob Iger. I never have. I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't think going out and buying things and being a deal maker makes you a good CEO, especially when you're beyond, aside from the parks. Maybe he's good on I don't know about the park stuff and all the other aspects, but as an entertainment company that provides entertainment, I think he's horrible. I think he's been awful. I think Michael Eisner is better, understood the creative process more. I think just going out and talking George Lucas out of Star Wars and buying Marvel, when that happened, and I've told this story before, I wish I could find the audio. I have it on a drive that's broken, and I will try to receive, because we recorded a podcast that day in my comic store. And to a man and woman, we said, well, I mean, we're probably going to get some good movies, but the comic books will suffer. Well, we got some good movies, and they're not good anymore, and the comic books have suffered. Everything has fallen apart. And do not forget that Kevin Feige is in charge of every aspect of Marvel now. Every aspect. Marketing, publishing, putting out movies, putting out TV, and while he's a good film producer, what he did in the early stages with a lot of help from a lot of people with the MCU will never be equaled. But now that he's gotten rid of that, a lot of help that he had, he's been on his own since Civil War, and it's gone downhill. I mean, it's undeniable. Do you get rid of the guy? I don't know as critical as I am of him. I don't know if that's the solution. I doubt you can find somebody else who could run the MCU. I say vault it, just like I say with Star Wars, vault it for 10 years. That's the only way you can salvage the legacy of this brand, is to stop and let it breathe and let people miss it. There used to be that philosophy in Hollywood. There isn't anymore due to corporatism, but we cannot deny that it's just been an absolute failure. It's everything we said it would be, and all you in the chat said it would be over the last 5 years, because we're real fans. We understand this stuff. It took a while for everybody else to catch up to it. We talked about it in the panel about normies.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it's not a derogatory term for me. It is the working man and woman who are raising their family, and they're too busy to, hyper focus on entertainment. Like, who's got time to do that? So, they're living their lives, and, they don't see it until it gets extremely bad. So now it's hit bottom. Does the change happen? I can't see Disney doing that at all. Just look at their actions. Forget what Bob Iger said over the weekend, because it was all 100. Well, a lot of it was fiction. Like in the beginning of the interview when he said, I never wanted to come back. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. What we do have, you want to share this article on the Star Wars side. The talk of Kathleen Kennedy has quieted down. I mean, South Park did all the talking necessary, right?
True. Yeah.
But hey, we're going to focus on quality over quantity, and that means the first Star Wars movie that we're going to get since the pandemic, since before the pandemic was kind of around at the time. It was in China, where it came from. And this movie came out, Rise of Skywalker, the Rise of Palpatine, and we haven't had a Star Wars film in the theaters since then, and it looks like the first follow-up is going to be Rey's movie. They've got a filming start date. They're actually going to do this. Now, I say bring it on. I love job security. This thing will be an absolute flop unless they're going to unless they're like, hey, this has a $35 million budget. It's going to flop. Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie receives a filming start date. A new production listing for Disney Disney. I was about to get her name mixed up there.
Disney Ridley?
Disney Ridley. Lucasfilm is reportedly eyeing an April 2024 production date. That is just a few months away. The start for Daisy Ridley's untitled Disney Star Wars movie. According to production list, the film and television Industries Alliance production tracking service, the untitled Disney Star Wars movie, which will feature the big screen return of Ridley's Rey Skywalker, Rey Palpatine, will begin shooting on April 7th, 2024 in London, England. The upcoming feature will be set 15 years after the events of 2019's Disney Star Wars, The Rise of Palpatine, following Rey as she builds a new Jedi Order, taking Luke's place. I got bored reading that. I could not be more bored with this. I can't imagine anybody being interested in this at all, as even the most diehard Star Wars fan has given up at this point. And I can't imagine why they would even go forward with this unless they are just that clueless. I can't imagine why Kathleen Kennedy still has a job. I can't imagine why they're going to put out The Acolyte or Skeleton Crew. Those are the two shows that we're going to get on D+ next year. We haven't even seen a trailer. We've seen a leak trailer for one, and it looks terrible. Looks absolutely terrible. Chris, they're just never going to learn, are they?
No, I think this will be about as popular as the Marvels. You're actually going to see. This is what's interesting, because we can sit here and Disney can release and spin numbers all they want about the popularity and the success of Ahsoka. But I think if you just look on the internet, it's not all that successful. And and the interest in it, like it just dropped off a cliff. No one's talking about it. So this, and when you look, I remember seeing that first public screening. It was a press screening of The Rise of Skywalker. And, people were divided. There were people who liked The Last Jedi, who were excited. There were the Reylos, the people who wanted to ship, Rey and Kylo Ren. And there are those of us that like, I did not like The Force Awakens, but what The Rise of Skywalker did is it united everyone in their disdain for the sequel trilogy. I remember hearing groans when they sort of like some sort of screaming when they kissed at the end, and then groans when Kylo Ren kind of just faded off and died because why? And it was just, all of it was just embarrassing. There was clearly no plan. It's people are going to look back on it as a failure, but the way that what's really great about box office is that it's you can't hide it. You can't hide it. This really comes out with a big push. I can't see how this is popular at all, especially when, the things that we're hearing, Alan and I, about how activism has taken over Disney as a company, and it's at every level. It's not like it's weak-willed executives allowing middle management. No, it's everywhere. It's a rot that is everywhere. I fully expect this new Star Wars to just be just awful, bad, and a sequel to an ending that people objectively didn't like. It made 50% less the box office of the first movie, right? Force Awakens was $2 billion. Rise of Skywalker barely creeped to $1 billion. But so to lose 50% of the audience, and you're going to make a sequel to that. And my understanding is, from what we've heard, that Daisy Ridley, is she not even a main character? It's 15 years later, so she's more of an Obi-Wan
type. Yes.
Yeah, like, so it's focused. I'm going to guess it's focused on a girl Jedi that's awesome and a guy Jedi that's an a-hole. And they're going to try and do the Kylo Ren Rey arc that they didn't get in the sequel trilogy, and they're going to do it in one movie, and it's going to be stupid, and I'm going to feel dumber for having seen it, but I'm going to do 600 videos on it.
Right. I mean, that's the
Not lying,
sacrifice we have to make. I mean, it burns brain cells, but like, what few I have left from my drug-addled days, whatever. I got a wife to feed me, roll me around when I'm done. No, I want to get back to what you've heard. We're going to, because I'd like, right after this article, I'd like you to do a spoiler-free overview and tease Chris has something in the works. That's huge.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's huge.
I'll talk about it.
Absolutely huge. So Star Wars casting news seems imminent. Oh, boy. Or girl, probably. The new production listing comes a few days after insider Jeff Schneider revealed on the Hot Mic podcast that he wouldn't be surprised if casting news for the Disney Star Wars movie was announced before the end of the year. I'm sorry, I just don't dead name Star Wars because it's dead. Just playing by your rules, woke Hollywood. I do think there are things lying in wait, Schneider's noted, possibly casting news that is already done. I think, they must have done it recently or before the strike. Not supposed to cast anybody during a strike unless you had a waiver. I think that the Daisy Ridley movie has its leads already, and it's just a matter of reporting and finding out who at this time. Ridley is the only confirmed cast member, although there is some speculation on whether or one or more of her sequel trilogy co-stars would join her. Right after all of this unbelievable failure, they just continue to do so. To the point where it's like, it's even surprising. It's like, guys, we are way past the point of no return, Disney and Lucasfilm. So are you that out of touch? Are you that prideful? I mean, it's sheer fucking hubris. It is at this point because, as I've said before, Lucasfilm's going to come out and say, we are going to lose more money than you can possibly imagine. And I'm here for it. Do it. but it's not going to help you overall. And as you know, Bob Iger said he was going to leave in 2026. We can stop sharing. I don't even want to look at this anymore. It puts me to sleep. Said he's going to be out by 2026, and I think he wants to right the ship to preserve his legacy. He's a year in. And as I pointed out in my video, the only thing he says, well, we're going to successfully attack all these problems. The only thing he's successfully attacked is good storytelling in the audience. That's it. He hasn't attacked. Star Wars has attacked our sensibilities of all things good, and Marvel has done that as well. So this company's way too big to succeed. It cannot turn around quick enough. It cannot pivot, especially with all the change coming. We got tons of news. A lot of it is just getting in the weeds with streaming, but I'll try to be as brief as possible. Paramount Plus, it came out on, I think it's Deadline today. Paramount Plus is losing money hand over fist. They have not turned a profit. But I know this is shocking, but Kurtzman Trek has not brought any subscribers or money to Paramount. But what is surprising is the Sheridan-verse hasn't brought in enough for them to turn a profit, which is, Yellowstone and its spinoffs are genuinely popular shows. And they've had some good, Tulsa King, genuinely popular, good show, but it's not enough for them to turn a profit to where they were downgraded. Now, I don't understand, again, not a financial analyst. I don't invest in the stock market, but their credit rating has been reduced to BBB minus. I don't even know what the hell that is. It just doesn't sound good because there's a minus on it. So It's at the lower end of where they're being loaned money. And what the article said was that all of these companies have just been living off credit. That's not success. That's not success. It's not even the illusion of success. That's getting yourself deeper in a hole. And what they're doing is they were going to, put all this money into the streaming pool, and eventually it was going to become profitable. But even the article's like, we're seriously questioning if the streaming model is a good model. And the investors and the banks are saying it will never be as good as linear TV. So they came out and said it. They've already accepted this. So their new model that they've gone all in on will never be as successful as linear TV, and they're going to be making less money. We are going to see some shrinkage in Hollywood, and that's what we were warning about. Like, the strikes made it so much worse. There's going to be fewer people getting jobs. So whatever deal you struck, about a third of your union members are going to get it. And half to 2/3 will be looking for other work or doing side gigs, where you could have just had a gig economy and you probably would have made the same amount of money, to be honest with you. And now we have another union out there. The Teamsters and IATSE are thinking of going on strike. Do you have that article? You know what? I probably didn't put it in Discord. I probably should find it. Variety.
IATSE. I got it.
You got it?
I just had to paw through them. There's lots.
Yeah. Hollywood's labor peace may be temporary as IATSE and Teamsters gear up for a fight. Writers returned to work 2 months ago, and the Film Actors Guild strike has been over for nearly a month, although they just ratified it today. Production has restarted, but won't be back till full strength until mid-January. But even as Hollywood tries to return to normal, dark clouds are forming on the horizon. Oh, no. Anyway, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees contract expires on July 31st and does the basic crafts contract, which covers the Teamsters. Now, neither of these yet are going to have to deal with AI, so we don't have that to contend with. But in a period of rising union militancy across industries, before I even go on, do you want to know why that is? Do you want to know why that is, Chris? I'll tell you why that is.
Hear it.
Because unions are parasites on business. Yes, I said it. A union needs a giant corporation to exist. It does. The giant corporations are going through a lot of problems, and the unions recognize immediately that, if they're in trouble, we're in trouble. And we have to do something to preserve our lives, and they have to strike a deal. What's probably going to eventually happen is unions will get broken. They're getting less powerful, and however you feel about unions, I'm not a big fan of mega corporations either, and just having fewer corporations. I am for decentralization. That's what I am for.
Same.
And I would love to see that. I'd love to see a lot of smaller studios. A24 is a good example of a smaller studio that's trying to do different things, quality content. Of course, there's Blumhouse out there. I want to see more stuff like that. That's what I'd like to see more. What unions do now is make things so much more expensive. So part of the reason you're seeing $200 million budgets is because of unions. It's also because of these weird COVID policies that Hollywood embraced that did, stack on a lot of dollars to the movies that were made during COVID. I think they're gone now, but it's hard for me to believe that they're like an industry is made from COVID and that just goes away. There's probably still safety bullshit that's been added to these movies that make it more expensive.
Well, there are just a real quick aside. I've said this before, but there are 3 grifts that Hollywood has given into that have increased the cost of these big budget movies, right? The one is COVID compliance, and you still see on the credits of movies, COVID compliance officer. The other thing is intimacy coordinator, which was born of Me Too, right?
Yep.
That's another new job that nobody said they needed before, but I guess we need it now. We got to, then the other thing is all the DEI
diversity officers
yeah.
and middle management,
right.
It's entire departments.
Right.
Yep.
So though all 3 of those things have ballooned the cost of the big budget movies to where, you get a $300 million Marvels, which looks like it could have been a Disney Plus thing that would have been fine and probably should have been made for 25 million. But it cost 300 million. I mean, you were mentioning, Gary, A24. There's also a lot of other smaller indies out there. I mean, and foreign films like Godzilla -1, which you and I are going to see before it leaves theaters.
Yes,
the second time.
A24 reminds me of what anonymous content used to be. About 10 years ago, they were doing some really, they started Mr. Robot. They did Counterpart. They did a lot of really interesting shows, right? Mm-hmm. And they just kind of, I think they got sold off, which is too bad. But and these unions, they probably have diversity and equity executives or people on the board or whatever the fuck. I've been part of a union, so that. The grift continues. The race grift, the COVID grift, it's all there. And
it's middle management bloat. You created jobs that no one thought were important before, and now people got to get paid. It's part of the budget. It's insurance. It's a shakedown. The thing is, I don't know. I think the studio should have taken a page out of Elon Musk's book and told all of them to go fuck yourself.
Yep.
They didn't have to. It is literally they're bending to the will of these new industries which have been created, and it's a grift. And because Hollywood cares, I love the thing that the go F yourself line from Elon that's been quoted quite a bit. But the thing that was, I think, even more interesting was people who care more about looking good, but then doing evil. And that's what a lot
Disney.
of this amounts to. Yes.
That's Disney. That's Nike.
100%.
That's Apple. That's all those major corporations. The reason they put that virtue signaling out there is to obfuscate from the, factories with suicide nets and child labor and all that stuff. All that evil stuff. When a lot of this stuff could be made here, might cost a little bit more, but it wouldn't cost too much more if there wasn't a union involved.
Right.
There you go. You price yourself right out of business. And you also take away the individual's ability to negotiate. As Robert Meyer Burnett likes to say, I think he's paraphrasing, I think he's quoting somebody else, but you get what you negotiate in Hollywood. And if you're a good writer, go write a novel. You don't need to write a script. As Eric July said, these unions now are just begging to make a deal with the devil for you. and then you can't negotiate. And in a time where entertainment is completely changing, we're in a major paradigm shift, and it's going to make it, the opportunity is going to be better for the independent creator. Love or hate AI, it's going to make it easier for the independent creator to make a sci-fi movie, to make an anime. I mean, because eventually they're going to figure out ways to do it that isn't copyright infringement and all that other stuff. And you just can't stop it. Shout out to Shad. Shad's going to go crazy about that. You know, I don't feel strongly about it either way. I see it as a creative tool that can be used by people who are actually talented. And if you have talent, you'll be able to use that tool to make your stuff cheaper.
Well, look at the most successful creators today. Whatever you think of these people, J.K. Rowling wrote the novels. She's doing pretty well.
Yep.
George R.R. Martin, anyone who was the original creator, wrote the novels, and then keeps themselves involved.
At least J.K. Finished her book.
Right.
I remember George complaining that she won. What did she win? What's the sci-fi awards? Name off the sci-fi book awards. Hugo. Yeah, she won a Hugo over him, and he was miffed. She owed your ass, George. She finished her book. So,
but you're gonna see. I guarantee when the first big independent production that uses AI and uses these tools and does really well financially and surprises everybody, Hollywood is going to come up with some reason to sue them, because Hollywood has always been in a battle with independent creators, whether it's independent film, whatnot. They're in a battle to suppress it. I mean, I just know this, like, I can point to a bunch of different things, everything from dealing with the MPAA, who gets more favorable treatment with the Motion Picture Association of America, who ranks all the movies, that allows you access. I made a film in 2005 called My Big Fat Independent Movie. It's rated R, which was fine, but there are a lot of things that we got notes on that we couldn't do, including things we couldn't do on the poster for the movie, which is weird. But all of these agencies, they favor Hollywood and they're against independence, whether it's, access to retail and shelf space, whether it's access to theater screens to put part of the reason I think Godzilla is it's not going to be an IMAX after today is because, Hollywood needs a screen, I guess, for Napoleon, which I'm sure is being pushed more for Oscar consideration than actual substantive box office at this stage.
And Napoleon's it's like streaming too, right? It's going to be, it's like Apple or something. It's going to be on Apple TV.
Yeah, it's going to, before the end of the year is, I could look it up, but yeah, before the end of the year is what I heard. It'll be.
I was actually going to wait for that one. There's like a lot of other things I'd rather see.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. There's some good stuff in it. There's some good. The battle scenes are pretty cool.
You were talking about the three grifts. I forgot to mention the intimacy coordinator grift, which has really hurt Hollywood. Real quick, let me finish up. You don't have to put the article back up. The International Alliance
Girl disappeared. X-Ray Girl disappeared.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll read the article to you until she comes back.
Yeah, thanks.
By the way, massive outage in Florida, totally unrelated, by the way, because she's in Canada, of On the Spectrum internet. Like, they've been out since last night, and it's still down.
Wow.
So that's why Jeremy couldn't be on Geeks and Gamers Daily. And it's crazy. It's crazy. All right. So the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees contract expired, blah, blah, blah. In a period of rising union militancy across industries, it's not clear whether the Hollywood studios have achieved lasting labor peace or just a temporary truce. I would say temporary truce as things continue to fall apart. We're going to demand things we believe members deserve for the work they do, says Lindsay Doherty, Secretary-Treasurer of the Teamsters Local 399. We have to fix this stuff. Our members make Hollywood move. I mean, these guys, these are, the carpenters and stuff and drivers and, like the blue collar guys. So I'm completely down with the blue collar worker. Just don't think you should be in a union, but that's me. Both the studios and the below the line workforce. For one, I hate that below the line workforce. They need to change a name for that. You mean the guys who feed you and shit?
Well, below the line, craft services, gaffers, just so many jobs affected. So I know a lot of people.
So they've taken this huge hit while all the other unions were on strike. Maybe this is payback. I don't know. But they're the ones who took a massive hit. But their unions were in solidarity with them. Have taken a hit in 2023. That figures to be a factor on both sides heading to 2024. How much more pain can they endure? We are so financially devastated, says Barry Caldwell, a veteran script supervisor. My fear is we won't be able to resolve, we won't have the resolve or the financial ability to strike. Caldwell's last worked on The Lincoln Lawyer, which wrapped in March. Since then, he's chewed through his savings, fallen behind on his bills, and had to withdraw 20% from his retirement account. His family got by on disability checks and the proceeds from sales of property that he had his siblings inherit from his mother. So I don't know whose disability checks. I'm really glad that California rejected the unemployment that they were asking. They were asking for unemployment.
Yeah. So people could strike.
Which some comes from the taxpayer and other businesses. It's like, no effing way. No way. No state help at all, period. So you could take the article down. Hollywood cannot stand another strike. So I don't know what their demands are, but even a strike of a couple of months would be absolutely, if it shut down any production, which it would, it would be devastating. It's already devastating. People don't seem to be too worried about it. But I'm thinking mostly of theatrical production. We're still going to be getting some shows next year. We're going to get a lot of shows next year. But you're not going to get a ton of movies. What took the big May slot was The Fall Guy, which looks okay, but it's another effing movie based on a freaking TV franchise that I don't know. Do any Zoomers know what The Fall Guy? I love The Fall Guy. I thought it was a great show, but does anybody?
Fine.
When I saw
But
that,
did
I'm like,
it need a movie?
No.
Did it really need a movie?
And I'm like, is this related to the TV show? I didn't even know at the time, and apparently it is. So it's very loosely based on it. Lee Majors, good Lee Majors TV show. But I aside from Deadpool 3, which is probably going to make a ton of money because we'll have no competition at all. And we got Dune 2 in March.
March 1st, they moved it up.
Yes.
They moved it up to March 1st. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty cool.
I'm excited about that. And that gives it every opportunity to succeed, and it should. And if it doesn't, it's too bad for Dune fans. But at least I'll enjoy the movie. But back to Disney, they definitely can't afford I think they'll have it done by then. They're completely reshooting Captain America 4. It is so bad. It is so bad that it is back to formula. Back to formula, dude. I thought they would, my speculation along with Ryan's and others was they do, major reshoots of action scenes and stuff, but no, they have to go all the way back. It's
like they're remaking the whole film is what we're hearing.
Yes. They're shooting it twice, which was essentially what happened with Doctor Strange Mom, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's I think you should scrap it, but that's just me. That is just me. So Chris.
Yes.
Without spoiling anything, I want you to tease what you got coming out. It's early next year, right? Possibly.
We might get a story out before the end of the year. Here's what happened. Alan Ng did a review of Wish on the Film Threat YouTube channel that blew up, but not just to our regular viewers, but to everyone apparently in the animation industry. And like the frog in the boiling pot that's been treated poorly over the years, many current and former employees of Disney reached out to talk about the dysfunction at Disney. The term that was used in almost every correspondence was activist, that activists have taken over, which has resulted in poorer quality Disney animation. And in addition, animation where the content itself the storytelling is compromised. Alan covered this, and now there's so many people upset about this turn of events, having driven out all the veteran animators, the people who knew stuff, and the knowledge was not being passed down. For those who've seen Wish, I actually did see Wish. It's telling that the plot of the story is taking the wise old king, overthrowing the king so that all of the citizens can get their wishes back. They can get their dreams. It's the oppressive, older, wiser king. So if you look at the story of it, it's like, oh my God, it's kind of like what happened at Disney. So Alan is taking point on writing the story. He will have some help from people because we want to make sure that things are buttoned up in the sense that we want to be careful that nothing is going to happen to us. Disney can be very litigious. We will be protecting all of our sources. We were even asked by a media outlet, can you confirm this? Are you sure you're talking to people from Disney? Can you get their paycheck stubs or employee ID cards? I said, absolutely not. We've confirmed their identities through other ways. But Alan's writing a series of stories that we hope to dump the first one next week. It's going to be called The Disney Files.
Ooh.
Yes.
And the Disney Files will be a series of stories based on the dozen plus people who have been talking to us. And it's weird at all levels, including some stories from the theme parks that will shock you, but not surprise you at what's just happening in the workforce, and the sort of weak management that is just doing a terrible job dealing with newer people in the workforce and what their expectations are. I'm trying to be vague, but I appeared actually on the Glenn Beck radio show because he's a huge Disney fan. I was on there. I think it was the day before. It was Monday. What is today? Monday.
Today's Wednesday. I know Chris had a really good weekend. Let's just say.
Oh my God, I'm still tired from this weekend. I haven't recovered. But yeah, I was on the Glenn Beck radio show for about 20 minutes. He asked to have me back, which is great. He's just a huge Disney fan, and Disney represents, in our conversation, Walt Disney represents the values of America. And when I say Walt Disney, I mean the man, not the company. The man, Walt Disney, loved America, loved everything about America. You go back to Disneyland, Frontierland, some of the old school Disney Americana is still there. They haven't rubbed it out yet. I'm sure at some point they're going to get rid of, when you go to Frontierland, there's that place where you can grab a rifle and just sort of shoot. Yeah. It's a little shooting gallery. That's next. Like, what's going to be checked off of, like, we can't have this, or like the Tiki Room where they've got all the birds and they're all different ethnicities and they speak in accents.
Yes.
That's going to be good. If we keep going down this road and you just give in to a couple hundred people on Twitter who are very loud, stop giving into those people. There was a recent interview on the Joe Rogan show. Why I'm spacing on her name. She was gonna be the host of Attack the Show before Olivia Munn.
Oh, Whitney Cummings.
Whitney Cummings was on, had a conversation with Joe Rogan. They were talking about maybe these corporations have made a mistake by listening to a small but loud minority on social media. That may not be the best strategy for your company, to listen to those people and take their advice. In any case, this series of stories will roll out on Film Threat. And what's great about that, I'm going to be on an episode of the Nooner where Gary is going to read a story from Film Threat. That is going to be, and Ryan's going to read it, and he's going to have a picture of Bob Iger that says, I am fucked. And then they're going to read it on Geeks and Gamers Daily. So this series of stories will roll out, and you guys can eat it up. And I just think it's a better way to present the information, because I'm speaking vaguely about, we're talking about more than a dozen people like that we're in communication with on a daily basis, sending us information. And Alan started out by creating a timeline first. So there's a chronology to the story, and each story will deal with, just like the Twitter files, an aspect of that business and trying to organize it and having things verified by multiple sources. So you've got, because there's they do Zoom calls with like a lot of people on a Zoom call, right? And So we will have confirmation of a lot of these things. It's going to be interesting. So yeah, that'll be rolling out. I'll let you know. I'll probably just send you a link and you can cut. Yeah, I don't even have to be a part of it. You can just cover it. So might be a good time. Maybe, just you could, it's going to be good. It's confirming everything you've already suspected, Gary. So
yeah, but to hear it from, and you brought this up before, you brought this up at the panel, but it's very interesting that people are starting to come to Film Threat.
Right.
Starting to email me, starting to email other people, right? Just regular Joes. You've been doing Film Threat for a long time, but like they don't want to reach out to the big trades because they're compromised. They've worked so hard for access that they are now just a tool for the corporation. And now the corporation's own employees, who are pissed off about a lot of this shit that's going on, do not feel safe going to Deadline or Variety or the Hollywood Reporter. And this is how independent movements start. The corporation has levied so many rules on itself that it can't be free. And that's what's really compromising the art. And that's starting to upset everybody. It took a while for Hollywood to wake up to this. I don't know if it can change anything. I remain skeptical. But it's good to hear people talking up. We heard yesterday, retailers in the comic book industry have started speaking up. It's years too late, but they're starting to speak up, and it's starting to make some headwaves because a retailer spoke up recently, and it triggered pretty much every person who's responsible for killing the comic book industry.
I saw that video. I felt for that guy. I worked at, in high school and early college, I worked at a video store called Thomas Video, which was infamous in Detroit for carrying independent films. They also are one of the few places that carried porn, whatever. But they would carry movies that no other store would carry, like John Waters films. So I was really proud to work there. But they also sold comic books. They sold comic books, which was great because I could get comic books there. Also at a place called Dave's Comics in Royal Oak, Michigan. But when I saw that video, I thought, oh my God, I feel for this guy. I'm sure he's seeing his shop and his profits just completely diminish. I mean, if you have a comic book store, I know, Gary, you know a little something about this.
A little bit.
You have to love it. You're not going to be a millionaire from a comic book store. And most comic book stores are independently owned, right? It's not like there's a chain of them, it used to be, I went to when I was a kid, before comic book stores blew up into a thing, ride my bike to the drugstore, get a popsicle and a stack of comics.
Yep.
You
had a couple bucks. You can get like a Pringles, a Snickers, and a comic book.
Right.
Or two.
Yeah.
And then you get to peek at the Playboys.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yes. But
ours
it
were
was
behind
great.
the counter. They kept ours out. They were just lower. They were like by heavy metal. So you pretend you're looking at heavy metal. So.
Right. I love heavy metal. Anyway, so yeah, I felt for that retail. I don't understand what is the logic. What is the logic for going after this guy? Is it that, and I've seen some crazy stuff. Obviously I watched Real BBC yesterday. I don't always get to watch the whole thing, but man, you were showing some frames from comics where I couldn't believe it. I mean, I felt for Az. He was just like,
oh, the one where Pa Kent's at a drag show.
I mean, and it's like, they say, write what you know. This is the people they're hiring. How ridiculous. Like, no stories about heroism or, God, I remember being moved by stories as a kid. I can't imagine anyone reading this and being like, the drag show in Smallville. It was so ridiculous. I can't believe it's real.
It's real. And if you want to share that link, X-Ray Girl, real quick, to Mark Millar's Twitter.
God. So bad.
We're not going to look at that picture, thankfully. Yeah, but we got some good news. Mark talked to Glenn. I think it's Comic Palace. So this is the retailer that everybody's been, shaming his looks. All the good people, all the people out for good were making fun of this guy's looks. And he said, he didn't say anything offensive. He just said, if you're writing Steve Rogers, write Steve Rogers. Don't put yourself in Steve Rogers. And then the likes of Jamal Igle, who I'm sure, Have any of you heard of Jamal Igle? No. It says, well, this guy doesn't know anything about writing. It's like he knows more about storytelling than you do. He's been selling stories for 30 years. So shut the fuck up. And he's also the guy you rely on. You still rely on comic book stores are still a pretty important thing. And for comic creators to go out and attack a comic shop owner tells you everything you need to know of why this industry has completely failed and manga has stolen all of their market share. No, not stolen, earned it. Absolutely earned the market share that the American comic book industry abandoned. So good for him. And Mark Millar talked to him, and it's on his YouTube channel. You can go check it out, and good for him. So good for Mark for having his back. And everybody out there's had this guy's back too. So hail Mark Millar for being a good dude and going out there. So yeah, he says, I was so appalled at the way a comic retailer was being harassed and bullied by a digital mob this week that I think it's Mark Millar coined the phrase, instead of calling them SJWs, cancel pigs. I think cancel pigs is a much better term. Cancel pigs were out there trying to cancel this retailer who sold their own work. So the cancel pigs failed because they're cancel pigs. This week, just for saying comic books are going in the wrong direction, I had a talk with him. Here's my interview with Glenn O'Leary from this afternoon. So go check it out after the show.
Goodness.
Fuck everyone who went after this guy. Fuck you all. Yeah. Hope you're eating cat food soon. Really should. You would have earned that, and maybe you'll learn your lesson after that. But screw Donnie Cates, Jamal Igle, among many others, were going after this guy. Now, Donnie Cates was essentially canceled out of the comic book industry, not because of his unfortunate car accident, because of other things he did. And I agree with everyone else's assessment that he's trying to get back into the good graces of what? What do you want to get back in the good graces of? The American comic book industry? That's like jumping on the Titanic. So whatever. That's how much these people think they need. That, like Donnie Cates, if you're a good writer, go out and go do an independent book. Find an artist, go out and do an independent book. A lot of people have been doing it and been pretty successful at it. So you don't have to share that anymore. Thank you. But dude, that pissed me off when I was watching that go down when we were on our drive home. I was fucking pissed. That's pieces of shit in the comic book industry. But it's another good mask off moment, in my opinion. So, things thankfully are quiet today, other than the strike ending. We haven't gotten any big news other than Disney Plus. I guess D Plus is officially adding on Hulu. So it's going to combine at some point. I think we all thought that was going to happen because Disney Plus sucks. It just sucks. I can't, I have Daredevil in physical media, so I don't need to, thank God I don't need to, share somebody's password and go on there. I'll figure out a way to watch Echo in January. It's all dropping at once. But I can't think of a damn thing I care about from Disney, and it's going to be such a desert of entertainment. God, I hope Dune's good, because it should kill. It should absolutely kill during that time.
Well, at a recent convention, they screened the first 10 minutes, and then they showed. Yeah, you can look it up. Nerd Cookies did a good video on it, and then it showed like a couple of action scenes. They did this before when the original Dune opened. It was one of those things where you could get a free ticket to go, and they gave you a poster, and it was like a 30-minute presentation of behind the scenes, basically to get you to see it in IMAX is what it was. So it was one of those, like, the ticket is free, but, hard to get because you got to jump on it. One of those GoFobo things. I can't stand those. But yeah, so it was like this little presentation. You can look it up. And apparently sounds like it's going to be pretty good. But the last half of that book could be 2 movies practically. Not that I would suggest breaking it up. My understanding is it is 3 hours, the running time of it, which makes sense to me when you look at the number of things that have to happen in that period.
Yeah.
Because the first movie really covered like maybe not even 6 months. of time elapsing. And the books cover about 3 years. Paul Atreides is 15, ends the book around 18 years old. And that's when most of the stuff happens in the second half of the book. It's just never been done well. Not on the sci-fi limited series, not, in the David Lynch one, they kind of just threw it in montage. They did a good job of setting up the fall of House Atreides, but that second half has never been, and that's the hardest thing to do because you're talking about all out war, right? With sandworms and Fremen and other planets and the Emperor of the Known. Apparently it opens with the Emperor of the Known Universe, played by Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken. That is awesome.
Yeah. Which well, let's see. I might have it right here. Let's see. I might have it. There you go. There's the Emperor of the Known Universe.
Oh, wow.
There's never been an action figure of Christopher Walken, but now I have it.
Now you have one.
Now I have one. There you go. There you go.
Perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So we got some stuff. Hey, Reacher comes out it's a day early, folks. So December 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern, Reacher comes out. Ryan and I are going to do a live stream after it airs the first 3 episodes. So we're going to do a live stream right afterwards to discuss Reacher because I really liked it. I thought it was really good. And then there's Rebel Moon and Aquaman. So YouTube will really be entertaining on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube will be
there's Aquaman 2. There's a lot happening. Wonka.
I think Aquaman 2 is going to be better than the Marvels. I think it's truly going to be better than the Marvels.
I think it could make more money because my theory is everyone's around for the holidays. What movie can everyone agree that they'd all like to go see? And women like Jason Momoa, we should ask a woman.
Mm-hmm.
X-Ray Girl, what do you think of Jason Momoa?
He looks very, very, very good. Very good. No, not into the hair, but I can minus that out.
Sure. So from the neck down.
Neck down, yeah. I believe guys have a term for that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We might.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll do better than the Marvels. But when it comes to like the overall franchise, the biggest problem is obviously woke Hollywood and the corporations that allowed it in. And it makes it impossible for them to pivot quick enough. So we get Rings of Power season 2. When there is one example of a franchise that, at least with one season, tried, right? With Picard season 3. That's during our panel where we were trying to think of like, is there anybody who's even tried or pulled it off? And that's it. Picard season 3 was this a little one-off, and you don't need to watch any other Kurtzman Trek, and you can actually watch that, and it would be a satisfying ending to the Star Trek The Next Generation, right? But they're so unwilling to do that, and it was just a complete anomaly. It was that nobody was paying attention. So they allowed this guy, Terry Matalas, to do what he could, and he pulled it off, in my opinion. But with Star Wars, with Marvel, with we're seeing it with Doctor Who right now. Doctor Who is a great example of you can't go home again. You brought back Russell T Davies, you brought back David Tennant, you got Catherine Tate. I was just on Australia with Alexandra Marshall. That should be out soon. Yesterday I was on Australian TV discussing Doctor Who, and I think. Not secretly, but just deep down, I held out like a small hope that maybe he would just, give us 3 specials that are, just basic entertainment and fun. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. The first episode was complete garbage, was complete agenda-filled garbage. And then the second episode couldn't get out of its own way because of the agenda, and it cemented the Timeless Children. Now, not to bore anybody who doesn't know Doctor Who, but the Doctor Who went into its past and completely redid its origin to make it less white. And it pissed every Doctor Who fan off, even the ones who don't like me. It pissed them off, and they made it absolute, unquestionable canon from here on out. They're not going to change it, which kills the show. And then they confirmed today when Ncuti Gatwa comes in the Christmas special, they're completely reinventing the show. So, all right, I'm out. We had 55 plus really good years. I've got all those episodes, well, all that are out right now on physical media. I can just watch that. I'm good. It's dead. So instead of going that direction, then just stop. Just freaking stop until somebody talented enough comes along, and maybe can bring it back. And then now they are forced to tell good stories. In Bob Iger's interview, he was asked about all the sequels. And what's great, I didn't fit it in my video. I don't know if you watched the full. Did you watch the full Bob Iger interview, Chris Gore?
I didn't watch the full Iger. I watched the full Elon.
Okay.
But I watched your video on the Iger interview.
So what didn't make it in my video, because it would have been too long. The Elon interview is better. I did watch the full thing. It's much longer. It's got more views. It's more interesting, and you think you're actually getting honest opinions other than the bullshit. But the interviewer, I'll give him credit for this. He quoted Walt Disney and his attitude towards sequels. And I'm paraphrasing. He didn't like, Walt Disney was like, no sequels. And I guess they tried it with the little pigs and it didn't work. And he's like, because they were talking about sequels even back with Snow White, and he's like, no. So Bob is caught off guard. And the end of the quote is from Walt Disney is there will be no sequels to Mary Poppins.
And then there was one.
Oh,
and not only that, sequels to classics, Cinderella. I remember these in the 90s when my kids were little. That's one of the great things about being a fan of old school Disney. It crosses generations. I get to re-experience films like Snow White, among other, Peter Pan, all the classics with my kids when they're little and see it through their eyes. Well, in the 90s, what did they do? A total cash grab where they did those clamshell VHS tapes where they put out Cinderella 2. Bambi 2, Lion King. I think they made a Lion King 2 and 3. I don't know if they're on Disney Plus. I don't have Disney Plus anymore.
But the straight to video stuff, right? So
it was straight to video.
Yeah.
And that's what streaming is, the today version of straight to video.
Yeah, except not as profitable.
Not as profitable.
Yeah.
But in terms of level of quality, I heard this from someone who makes shows for Netflix who says they just have to be like around a 6 or a 7 because that's over 50%, which is technically a passing grade, right? 50% or under would be failing.
Yeah.
But anything above that is like, oh, okay, it's good. It's like good enough for streaming. That's not good enough. When you see a trailer for a film that speaks to you where you say, well, I have to see that movie. One of the recent trailers, Godzilla -1, and that trailer was short. It was like 1 minute and 13 seconds for the original Godzilla -1 trailer. They've since released a few more trailers and they're all under 2 minutes. They're very short trailers that don't give you much of the story. They just show spectacle and you see, you just get a taste of what you're about to experience. But very little of that exists today. And I think part of it is that Hollywood is not in touch with the zeitgeist, right? What are we all in America subconsciously all concerned about? The person that can tap into that, the zeitgeist that permeates every person's mind, and not just America, the world. What do we all have concerns about? What connects all of us? What is relatable to all of us? Not some identity checkbox bullshit. What can we all relate to that is meaningful to humanity and human beings?
Love.
Hollywood used to be able to do that. They're
That's such a
incapable
cruel
of
answer.
It is true though.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said love.
Bingo.
Okay,
Bingo.
Dumbledore.
Bingo. Okay, but let me tell you, X-Ray Girl is right. Let me tell you. Everyone wants to love and be loved.
Yep.
Very, very, that is a very relatable thing. And a recent study came out. I got in like, not really a fight. I don't get in fights with too many people, but I got in a very heated discussion with Paul Chato on Monday's Midnight's Edge in the Morning, where he did a video on this. It was a study about Gen Z doesn't want romance in their movies. And it was a study that was done at UCLA. And I call BS. I think the study is BS. I think the question was asked incorrectly. And I think that study was created to push an agenda of desexualizing and deromanticizing movies.
Yes.
You know, look, you know what? Gay men love romantic movies that feature heterosexual couples.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about
you know what I mean?
It's about reducing heteronormity, that heteronormative behavior. Hollywood is very anti-heteronormative, which is which is a militant alphabet squad term.
It is, Gary. There's so much I can tell you that I can't tell you right now. Offline, I have something I got to tell you that relates to that. But yeah, so 90% of the audience.
Well, why do you think they removed the romance from Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Or also from the first Star Wars movie, it was the first thing I noticed. Every Star Wars movie has some sort of romantic angle.
Yep.
And this was the
Disney trilogy had a bunch of friends.
So yeah. But more and more movies do this. I think it's wrong. I don't think it's what people really want. And I think that study from UCLA is BS. Gary, you should do a video on it. And Gary, as far as I'm concerned with your videos, I watch everyone. You can go as long as you want on those videos. I will never complain to you. I will never complain.
I was under time constraints because I had to get to a panel.
Well, I'm just saying, I love it. It's like, oh, a 30-minute Nerdrotic video. Well, time to settle in, make myself some lunch, sit down and watch a Gary video.
Awesome. Thank you. It's a battle against heteronormative romance. So Peter Quill and Gamora were broken up, and I think it's purely because it was a heteronormative relationship with a white guy, and they wanted to remove it. Even James Gunn. They tried to make excuses for it, but that's the one thing I didn't like about the third movie is like if you're gonna kill her and bring her back and then just make her piss off, like what was the whole point of her in that movie?
What was the point? I mean, he would have to win her back, but a different version of her, but he still has love
teased
for her.
that in Endgame.
Yes.
They teased it and then didn't follow through because they thought they wanted to subvert your expectations. That's what they said.
No, it was noted to death by Disney.
Yes.
And my guess is that having known James Gunn in the past, and when you see the quality of the work, it's very clear that he's willing to tell people to go fuck themselves. Having said that, he still wants to work in the industry. So there are notes that you take and notes where you're like, all right, fine, you can win that one, but I'm not compromising on this, right? So, and I think that Guardians 3 will be the most profitable film coming from the Disney Corporation this year.
Yep, which is barely profitable due to its budget, but yes.
But it didn't go north of it didn't get north of $1 billion, but yeah, anyways.
And Bob's like, isn't it interesting that a Disney failure makes $500 million? Yeah, when your movie costs $200 million plus $100 million for marketing. Yeah. Yeah, it's not surprising. It's not interesting. It's not curious. It's failure. That's what it is, Bob. But what he was saying about sequels, to go back to, he was like, he's like, well, I'm not against sequels, but we need to make original stories. Then he goes, but sequels, have a built-in fan base, and we're still going to move. And while he's saying this, he's got Zootopia 2, Inside Out 2, Frozen 4, 3 and 4, 4 or 5, whatever the fuck. Captain America 4. There's a bunch of sequels coming out. So he's full of shit. He's not going to take any chances. Remember, he axed John Carter. He shit on it, undercut the movie because of Star Wars, which is based on a great book series. And I'd love to see somebody take a crack at it someday. Not Disney, but it's sad that went by. But they're not into. We're getting a Tron sequel, another Tron sequel, right? Supposedly we're getting Tron 3. So yeah, he's full of shit. What the guy's not going to change anything. He's just trying to satisfy investors. He also mentioned Nelson Peltz and said, "Oh, he's not on his mind for any decision." But I think that's bullshit too. I think all of this, we're going to focus on quality over quantity, is to try to fight him off. But they might actually be heading for a proxy war. But what's going to affect everybody else, every other studio other than Amazon, Apple, and possibly Netflix, is going to be budgets. They can't afford this woke shit anymore. They just can't. It's not making any money. The theaters have not returned to pre-COVID ticket sales, which is very important. Ticket sales, not box office dollars, which are highly inflated. And this is the death of the modern franchise. Some studios will be forced to make original entertainment, and who that is, don't know. Won't be Disney. But I think it'll be ultimately good. You know, I was watching it because I mentioned it at the panel, Chris. So I'm like, I'm gonna, it's been a couple of years since I watched it. So I put on Alter Carbon season 1. Joel Kinnaman. There are so many freaking tits in that show. There are tits everywhere. There's boobs flying at you everywhere in that show. I'm like, I remember boobs. Everywhere in that show. I'm like, so it was the reason I pointed out the show is I said there's 3 streaming shows that you can point to that were before the bad times and after the bad time started. The bad time, by the way, was the election of the Orange Man, which broke Hollywood. So pre Donald Trump, when the stuff was in production, you had Umbrella Academy season 1. You had, which was on Netflix. You had Westworld season 1, which was on HBO. And you had Alter Carbon season 1. There are other shows, by the way. But I think these are the 3 most noticeable, where you see in season 1, they tried to make a normal show. They tried, that was there diversity? Of course. But it was a focus on story. And I love Alter Carbon season 1. I think it's beautifully weird, and it's got a Blade Runner vibe to it, and the effects are cool. And season 2 sucked. Umbrella Academy was a good adaptation of a comic that I liked a lot by Gerard Way. Season 2 sucked.
It transitioned.
Westworld was the worst one because that's when they came out and said Westworld season 1 was mostly Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonah Nolan, wrote that first series with his wife, Lisa Joy. Then the Me Too thing blew up. And I think something happened to the set. So they didn't really have a plan. So they took extra time to rewrite what their original plan kind of was and lean more into the Me Too Time's Up shit. So everything leading up to Westworld season 1, that thing had been in production for 5 years. They had repurposed a couple of other scripts. They had repurposed the script from a movie. But that's why that season 1 is so tight. And by the way, I would stand by, go watch season 1. You can buy it and just forget everything else. And I think it ends perfect. It leaves it to your imagination. I think it's a perfect little 1-season story. I own it, and I would probably rewatch season 1, but man, season 2 off. But it went nuts, and it went full-on intersectional feminism from season 2 on. Same thing pretty much with Alter Carbon. Same thing with the Umbrella Academy. And they also went into, really into the racism aspect because we needed to fight all these things in our stories because that will help influence the young viewers who aren't watching our shit because we drove them all away because the stories suck. So, I was just shocked. I'm like, God, look at all the boobs flying around here. Dang. Better times. Better times. But Alter Carbon season and how good the show looks. It was 2017 when it came out. The effects for a TV show are pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant. I tried the book series. I know some people say it's better. I didn't think it was, but I could be wrong. I tried the first book. I wasn't that into it. I like the show. Let's get to some soups, shall we? You have a live stream after this, right?
I do have a live stream at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Alan and I are going to be going over everything that happened at LA Comic-Con. We're also going to be reviewing Lady Ballers. I have seen Lady Ballers.
I got to watch. That's what I got to watch tonight. You have opinions. All right.
I have opinions.
You have opinions about Lady Ballers.
I have opinions about Lady Ballers.
I need to watch it.
Yeah, it's look, it's in the vein of classic raunchy sports comedies like Slapshot.
Yep.
Most people, you remember Slapshot. I
do.
Do you remember the one character in Slapshot that would always sort of we're just going to be looking to get some snatch.
Yes.
That was his word. He just kept saying snatch. And he would say it the same way every time. It was great. It's a comedy you can't make now. So yeah, Lady Ballers is out. I have thoughts on the movie and then the Daily Wire strategy, which I have some issues with, and we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Also, did you see Adam Carolla is doing some animated cartoon show about a woodshop teacher?
Yes, I did. I'll give it a try, but
yeah.
It's interesting. You know what? It's another entertainment outlet. So I think it's good.
Right.
That they're doing it. I think they need to continue doing it, and they got to come out and do stuff to get better. Your first movies, your first try are not going to be great. They could be, but to expect that from an alternative to Hollywood, it's well, you're not as good as the $200 million pictures. Well, the $200 million pictures aren't that good. So I think the time is right to dive into that. And, we talked about it. A movie like Lady Ballers would have been made 15 years ago.
Yes.
Other people have said
100%.
It would have just been made. It's comedy, low-hanging fruit. And Hollywood refuses to pick it because of the DEI and all the restrictions creatively they put on themselves. It killed comedy. Comedy will find a way, though. It will find a way, just not through Hollywood. Ryan, for 50 British pounds. Speaking of dying franchises, can we all admit finally that Ridley Scott is not a brilliant director, especially after the awful Napoleon movie? He has so many great movies and a slew of stinkers. He's not Kubrick or Spielberg. No, he's not. I think he's good with the right material. He did Blade Runner, I liked Legend. I like a lot of stuff he did. I like Alien. I think Alien's brilliant. I think, just a creator has his time. Spielberg's not what he was. Spielberg's nowhere near what he was. And Kubrick, well, his life was, I think, cut short a little bit. So, Joshua Trammell for $49.99. Thank you very much. Says you all are the best people. You're the best people. Hail the fellowship. We're idiots, especially me. Blackguard 4 for $20. The Fall of Hollywood is essentially the story of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and they live. With the activists being the invaders / aliens, and we are the audience have to run out of bubble gum. Yes, and I think we've run out of bubble gum. I think the audience has run out of bubble gum. John Thomas for $20. Chris, two things. Disney started this when American workers were forced to train foreign replacements. I tagged you on X about Professor of Rock. His music and your film knowledge would be a great video on great soundtracks.
I would love that. I love, it's so funny. Do you remember when I'm just going to put all my CDs into my iTunes library? Well, most of my library are movie soundtracks. So there was a weird transition. Remember when we bought songs at 99 cents a song and it became $15 a month to just listen to everything? All that did was make musicians poorer. And every industry that big tech comes in and disrupts, it's like they come, hey, nice industry you have. We're going to take about 30 to 40% of your industry and shrink it because we're going to make your art disposable. That's what big tech has done to streaming. That was a lie. It's what they've done to the music industry. They destroyed that first. And they've done it to other industries, the taxi industry with Uber and with hotels. And they always start out with this amazing promise. We're going to give you the phone for free. We're going to give you, it's free. It's free. Now it's $1,000. You know what I mean? It's like everything starts out with this great seductive thing. I see now the business model for big tech, and it's to destroy and take and take a chunk of all types of industries. And I see this as a bad thing for America. There's a movie you should see, a science fiction film called, it's a very thoughtful sci-fi movie, not action, but it's called Landscape with Invisible Hand. Gary, you can rent it on Vudu or wherever. And it's about America in the 2030s. And it's aliens from another world that have effectively solved so many problems that everyone's out of work and everyone has lost hope. That's a movie that's tied into the zeitgeist. That's a movie that's plugged in, and it's about also, you'll appreciate this, a young high school couple that become kind of like YouTubers, but they're YouTubers entertaining aliens from another planet. It's weird. There are going to be some things you don't like about it, but the ideas in the movie are so worth. I would love if you would check out that movie. And anyone in the audience that wants to, take a chance on one of my recommendations. It's a weird indie sci-fi movie that really is tied into a glimpse into our very near future. And it's depressing as hell because Earthlings have lost purpose, and it's sad to see.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see it, Gary.
With a generation.
Yeah.
Lover of Green for $50. Gary, you should make a video titled How to Defeat Woke Hollywood, i.e. explain how the Fellowship could deprogram the activists who are ruining most legacy franchises. It's a long shot, but it's one that could save pop culture. Hail to the Iron Age. Hail. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I will put that in my little book of notes. Hang on. Give me just a second.
Sorry, Gary. I know I go off on these like.
No, it's all right.
I'm like I'm definitely a little ADD.
Oh, me too.
Because things I go off on tangents, but I do have a point, and that rant earlier about the zeitgeist, and Hollywood has lost it. This is why movies don't resonate, and movies, and when they see, like, obviously the Marvels had certain messaging. It didn't resonate with people. If it did, we all would have gone to see it. And probably apologetically said, better than I thought, unexpected, awesome, doesn't. The characters don't resonate. And Aman Vellani's comment about you don't have to get bigger, you just have to make characters people care about. She's right. She is right.
She's dead on.
Yeah, she is.
She's dead on about that. All right. Tim Franz for $10 says, hail, Gary, Chris, and X-Ray Girl. It was great to meet you all Sunday. Thank you for taking the time to chat, and I hope those photos turned out well, Chris. You all make my day go much smoother. Well, hail to you. You make our days go much smoother, too. We appreciate it. And it was great talking to everybody. That's what we do. After the panel, we go and hang out and talk to everybody, passing by Kevin Smith. Scott Christy Jones for £2 Where is X-Ray Girl's Christmas ornaments? Good question.
I'm getting there, okay?
I've got my tree up, Gary. Do you see my tree?
I see your little tree.
It's the Peanuts, that tree. It's got
tree.
One ornament is like barely hanging on.
But your guys have hats on, right?
I got hats on.
I got to put the hats on my guys, too.
Couple of hats.
Neil Horn for $9.99. Here's why I think Godzilla -1 is so good. They put men in it. They do honorable, manly things, and they're not lame. Hail Nerdrotic, hail Chris, and hail NG the Merciless. The Merciless.
Yeah.
Merciless. Matthew Faksheen, 2 parts for 10 Canadian pesos. I know you guys aren't the biggest fans of unions, and I understand why. You guys don't. But without automotive unions striking, I wouldn't be earning $43 an hour starting next year. So I am happy. Well, if you're happy, that's cool. I mean, I hope they don't, I hope they don't give you that $43 a year and then start making automotives somewhere else. With my rise at work, I can now give more money to creators and enjoy it like yourselves. Merry Christmas to you all and Happy New Year's. And congratulations to you. So that was in Canada, right?
Yeah.
That was in Canada. Well, good for you. It's funny that you bring that up, Matt Faksheen. And again, I'm glad you got that movie. I'm not going to bore you guys, but there have been some changes made, and I'm sure people who have recently gone out to buy cars have noticed how effing expensive they got overnight. Like car inflation is insane to the point where it's going to hurt used car sales, right? So I'm very happy.
It already has.
It has. The last new car, Melissa needed one because her car broke down 2 years ago. But I still have my car that I bought in 2016. I still have the car that I bought in 2003. And I just keep them going. I'm not going to go out and buy a new car. I hate, for one, don't buy a new car. Again, here's some dad advice. Do not buy a new car. You lose your value as soon as you drive off the parking lot. Go buy a lease return, a used car. You're going to be much better for it.
I was going to say, recently though, used cars within 2 to 3 years, almost the same price as new cars because it takes so long for them to come in.
Yep.
Like it takes 6 months to a year.
Well, that's because everything went up because labor got a good deal and it's got to get paid for. So it all got passed to the customer.
Yeah.
In troubling economic times where everybody's tightening their belt. So it wasn't super well timed. And what it's gonna lead to? Outsourcing.
Yep.
Outsourcing. Accident seller for 50 Norwegian krona. I agree with Chris Gore. Gary, you can go as long as you want on your videos. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Use and abuse my time. Go balls deep in my feed, Daddy-O.
Oh.
Not gay.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with tax. It's not all the workers' fault. It's taxing. It's the state taxes. It's federal taxes. It's regulations. It's usually the politicians fucking up business. Let's make that clear.
Gary, real quick. Speaking of politicians, there's a video that came out earlier this week after the DeSantis. I know Newsom is of interest to you. The Newsom DeSantis debate happened.
Yes.
And a legislator just fact checked. It's like a 30-minute video.
Oh, I watched it.
Oh, good. Okay,
I watched it. He fact checked Gavin Newsom's a liar. And
yeah. It was so good.
The most frustrating thing is most of California knows it, but then there's a big section who just love Daddy Newsom because he combs his hair and he tells them what they want to hear. He doesn't do any of it, but he tells them and that's good enough for a lot of low information voters in California, which is now most of the state.
Yep, it is true. It's unfortunate, but I don't know why people like him. I think he's been a liar and terrible. I think he looks like a politician. He looks like, he looks like American Psycho. He just looks like he's got the same hair, everything about him. Other people have said he looks like one of the like Beavis or Butthead. One of them, I forget.
Hey, apparently my state is one step closer to secession.
Really? How would that work even? Like, would just be like
somebody at the Dallas meetup, somebody approached me and broke it all down for me. Right. And one of the reasons we moved here is that's a possibility.
Oh, wow.
But I don't think it's possible. I don't think America would ever let it happen, but we're one step closer. I just saw Tim Pool's Civil War.
Oh my God. He's definitely like Chicken Little when it comes to that. It's like,
I don't know if he was just trolling on that one or not, but we're one step closer and we'll see what happens. Whether I'm going to vote for it or not, I got to see what the parameters are. I've got that Texas flag from when it was a country right on my ceiling right there.
Wow. Yeah, so you and I basically watched the same video without talking about it. Like,
we did.
I'm just watching, going like, oh, someone finally saying all this stuff that I already know about how awful this person was. How, in that debate, he completely mischaracterized everything, rewrote history. But the thing is, this: a lot of these people, he can get away with it because he can just say that's not true, and then. People don't fact check. We have the weakest media in California.
They're not a media anymore.
They're not a
media anymore. They are a tool for the state. Gavin Newsom doesn't debate. That's why it was so weird that have you ever seen him debate?
No. I saw something. I mean, I don't know. They just don't. California politics is very much like
Gavin Newsom doesn't need to debate. You want to know why? Because he knows he's going to win. So he doesn't debate anybody. This goes all the way back to when he was a mayor in San Francisco. I mean, once in a while he's debated, but he doesn't regularly debate because he's fucking terrible at it.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of a clown show, but DeSantis going against him, I think was good. If Gavin got into a debate with the other guy, with Trump, he would get destroyed. You get fucking destroyed. Because all you'd have to do is list what DeSantis did. There's poop on the street. There's tent cities out to fucking Indio now. Indio. That's dude, that's Palm Springs. There's a whole desert in between LA and Palm Springs, and there's now homeless tent cities out there. It's a failed state. It's terrible. It looks terrible. And even the underpass I went through to get to the LA Comic-Con, which was clear last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I X-Ray Girl, I'm like, oh, here's your authentic LA experience right here. And under this bridge, there was a shanty town on both sides. A shanty town.
Yeah.
Multiple level wood structures made out of crates, people shitting on the sidewalk. And yeah, the look on your face, the look of horror on your face was accurate. Matthew
disgusting.
Matthew Hammond for $19.99 says, Jonathan Nolan made a great series called Person of Interest. That was a good series. Yes, he did. With Jim Caviezel. That was a very good series. And another note, I looked through Tony Scott's movies he's directed. So many bangers. Did the wrong Scott brother leave us too soon? Tony Scott is, I think, a more consistent, better director than his brother. His brother directed more classics, but you want to talk about consistency throughout his run. Tony, True Romance, Beverly Hills Cop 2. Oh my God, I had the name of what's the movie where Jeremy Piven is locked in the hotel?
Hey, we have at least a brain cell between the two of us. I know. I can picture. I like Jeremy Piven.
Top Gun. Yes, Top Gun. Smoking Aces. Thank you, chat. Smoking Aces. Smoking Aces is a fucking great movie. I couldn't remember the title for the life of me right there because I had a brain fart, but love Smoking Aces. So yeah, he's Top Gun as well. Like, let's not forget that. Let's not forget Top Gun. R.I.P. Tony. I'm not saying Napoleon is just garbage, but it's positively unapologetically garbage. It's like George Lucas movie that focuses on Martha Lucas and barely covers Star Wars. Terrible movie at its core. Says Dirt is King for $10. There you go. What is Mr. Gore saying? People can't resonate to one of the main characters nonchalantly committing genocide with no thoughts of or consequences? Shocked. TSG official.
She first of all, that is correct. How is she relatable? I don't understand how people think that Brie Larson's interpretation of the character of Captain Marvel is a likable character. She is objectively unlikable and does things that are not heroic. And it just, I don't get it. Are these even superheroes anymore? What do they do? It's
well, if you're reading Marvel comics, it's they turn gay and sit around tables and eat and send each other texts. Marvel or
they
DC
wear
comics.
costumes. Yeah. It's so dumb. It's not like, do you know, like, okay, here's a relatable thing. And you know what? Most popular Marvel character is Spider-Man for a reason. He had everyday real world problems that everyone could relate to. Right? Balancing work and life.
And they've ruined it. Like Spider-Man comics always sold well north of 100,000 copies, like clockwork. Multiple titles over 100,000 copies. Now they don't even crack 60K. And that's with multiple variants. The actual books being sold, 45,000 in a country of 333 million people, maybe more at this point, documented. And around the world, I mean, that's sad. That's your biggest character.
Pathetic.
From Dusk Till Dawn for $10. I went to my local comic shop, got some classic John Byrne Superman books. Hell yeah. Guy there said he wanted to see the Marvels with his kids, but the kids blew him off for Godzilla. Based kids. Yeah, I got to take Nerdrotic Jr. The Venture Brothers live stream is still going to happen. I have to rewatch all the Venture Brothers. That's what I'm waiting to do. So my kid is now obsessed with the Venture Brothers, my youngest. So we're going to I'm going to watch them all with him. And once I'm done watching them all with him in the next couple of weeks, then we will do that stream that was promised earlier this year, by the way, just to let you know. That's my base kid. But I have to take him to Godzilla too. Which again was pointed out yesterday and today, Chris, had male energy. Lots of male energy.
A little bit, or just traditional characters that you can relate to, you know?
Well, it's a broken down guy. It's a completely broken down guy at the beginning of the story.
And it's just so relatable. And it's so, this is why the Japanese are better at making Godzilla movies than the American ones. That new trailer I thought was terrible. I thought it was god awful. The Godzilla X Kong with the pink Godzilla flames.
It looks so lame.
It looks so lame. And the goofy looking Kong, I'm sorry. I argued fervently. It just looks, with Tom from Midnight's Edge, I'm like, dude, that looks stupid. And then the way Drinker had the best post about it, the way that Godzilla runs,
he's all agile.
Away all the sense of scale.
Yeah.
He's so, doesn't make sense. I mean, you bought into the physics because he's so large of a fit. You don't move as quickly, right? Like
it just looked bad.
It looks bad. It looks so bad.
Mark Rocha for $10 says, you don't think if Disney came out and truly apologized and said they are going to get Favreau to start an X-Men universe and an FF universe, they could get people back? They could. I'm not against them coming out and apologizing. I think they should. And then they should back it up. Because people rightly so will still be skeptical. But if they back it up, then yes, then you can heal. Never going to happen.
Sorry, Gary, but more than apologize, there needs to be some company policies. If you work for a company and you have an audience, never attack your audience. The worst part is these attacks come from highest levels. So what that does is open the floodgates and makes it okay for people at lower levels to go, I'm going to go after this comic shop owner, or I'm going to go after this other person and shame them, which is a tactic to get you to shut up and not express yourself. And I don't have patience for stupid people. I really I've had some experiences over the last year where I don't have patience for stupid people anymore. Mm-hmm. You need to keep up. You need to keep up. And I don't need to spend my time arguing with some idiot I'll never meet. Who's not even a fan of the stuff I'm talking about.
Well, who doesn't? Look at the idiots who couldn't figure out my tweet on Godzilla, right? I said the message divides, good stories bring people together. And they thought I was talking about like the message in Godzilla. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I knew exactly what you meant. I understood you.
Yeah. So that was hilarious to see. Again, Clownfish did a good video on it, but like, really? I mean, I know sometimes you got to explain yourself, but I thought that tweet pretty much explained itself. Huge ass. Do you need to explain that name? No, it explains itself. For 20 Canadian pesos, speaking of shitty politicians, there's a petition on the government of Canada's website to call for a non-confidence vote, which would get Trudeau out. About to hit 200,000 signatures. Google E-4701 and sign. If you're in Canada, sign it. That guy did himself in with the trucker shit. Like that was freezing bank accounts. Yeah, just like his dad, a dictator. Fidel Castro, that's who I'm talking about. We have OMG Puppies for $10. Watch Johnny Quest and then Venture Brothers. Johnny Quest was a great series that got canceled because of the anti-cartoon violence movement. I have seen Johnny Quest. I have Johnny Quest on physical media.
I used to love Johnny Quest. It was just an adventure show. That's all. I mean, obviously Venture Brothers was influenced by it
heavily
and kind of based on it. But I loved that show as a kid. It was super fun. It reminded me of the kind of adventures that we would have in our minds when we would play outside.
Yes.
And we would play outside. We didn't just touch grass. We freaking lived in it. And my jeans, do you remember getting grass stains on your jeans?
Yep.
Because you would run around and you get we would just play outside and we'd have adventures. And, you'd imagine like this is the lake, we're in the ship, what didn't matter on the picnic table is the spaceship, whatever it was, or the Jeep, we would just play and have adventures outside.
Yep. And Johnny Quest was like that mod cool 60s, like
yes,
late 60s, and the music was cool, the animation was pretty good, and
it was diverse.
Very diverse.
It was diverse. He had his friend who was Indian, and they were friends. They were just friends on adventures.
Yep. Victor
cool.
For 100 Czechoslovakian pesos. Says, hail to the fellowship. After One Piece, how do you guys feel about live action anime movie adaptations? I watched the Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai X movies, and they were surprisingly decent. Good. I'm open to them. I'm always open to it. I think the Avatar, The Last Airbender, I know it's not technically, it's American, so it's not technically anime. That trailer looked pretty fucking good. Is it going to be good? I don't know. But I'm willing to give more live action anime, like way more. Of course, I'm going to give it a chance. And just the anime itself, I'll give more anime a chance because I like good stories. So I'm always trying to find something new to watch. And if I don't, I watch something old. But I'm way more open to it than I was even like a year ago. So congrats to Frank and Ing, the Merciless, for surpassing 100,000 subscribers and 69 subs. 169. Well done, guys, by the way.
I have to thank you. I was on FNT last week, and it happened in like 5 minutes. It was the weirdest thing. You just mentioned, sub to, and now we're closing in on 103,000. So
wow.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, Gary. Couldn't have done it without you. And
you did it.
It's great.
And thanks to everyone who subbed.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who subbed. I hope you stay subbed, and I hope that we continue to deliver stuff that you like. So.
Oh, you will. Wait for those Disney files. You're going to be scooping everybody.
Well, what I'm excited about is that people will read the website. I mean, mostly our bread and butter is independent film reviews and movie reviews. We're all about reviews. But we have done investigative reports in the past. So this is one that you just got to go about it the right way. I fully predict, though. Can I make a prediction?
Sure.
They're gonna come after Alan and I and Film Threat.
Yes.
There'll be efforts to discredit us. There are going to be stories, and Disney is not above just cutting off access, which is fine. They're free to do that. It's okay. I don't really.
You don't need access. You don't need access. I saw some of your. I'm going to say some of your former cohorts that you have streamed with in the past, like Collider chums, Collider dudes.
Yeah.
One of them likes to call himself an outlaw. The other one wanted to be the Howard Stern of entertainment talk. Mainly the outlaw guy, though. Grizzy did it. I know you like John Campea Exposed. Good. There's also Grizzy. Watch Grizzy. Grizzy just did a video of the Access Media members really pissed off that that Bob said he was going to move away from the message. I never got that. I wouldn't say Bob said he's moving away from the message. Okay.
I think they'll dial it down or be less.
Dial it down. And he also said, I would not tolerate the opposite. What does that mean? Well, in that interview, again, this didn't make the video, but they were talking about the Don't Say Gay bill, which is not called the Don't Say Gay bill. It's the parental rights bill. And the protests that were happening. And they made a point to point out that there was Nazi flags and anti-gay. I wasn't at the protest, so what there usually is a couple. There might be a couple of morons there, or a couple of feds. What you decide. I report. You decide. But there's also parents who are pissed off, and they're pissed off enough to where it's affecting Disney's bottom line now, across the board, because Hollywood has a very well-earned reputation, and Disney does too. There's a lot of weird, degenerate pervs who do strange and horrific and utterly reprehensible things to kids. You've had Natalie Portman come out recently and say, it's a miracle I didn't get diddled.
Right.
That's essentially what she said. Like, my mom looked after me, but it's a miracle. I've always said, if you love your kids, don't let them anywhere near that town. Don't let them anywhere near that town. So if Hollywood wants to shake this reputation, which they can't, by the way, because of their politically active alphabet overlords, who want to move things like age of consent to you a younger age. And these are facts, by the way. This is stuff that Anthony Weiner, not Anthony Weiner. Forgot the politician's name from San Francisco.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
That guy. I think it might be Weiner, but it's not Anthony.
It's not Anthony Weiner, but his last
Scott
name is
Weiner.
Weiner.
Is it
Scott
Scott
Weiner.
Weiner?
Yeah, something like that.
That's okay. Cool. Yeah,
He's been pushing for that, and just to be clear, I hate government regulation. There's laws on the books that they should prosecute if anybody does anything to kids that never get pushed. Isn't it weird that the Me Too movement stopped just short of kids? Like it almost got there. People started speaking up, and then it just stopped. This is a reputation that Hollywood has fucking earned, and they should do everything they can to shake themselves from it, and they don't. Isn't that weird? Weird.
I don't want to delve too much into this, but Film Threat did a series of stories in the early 90s called Tales from the Casting Couch. It ran for a couple years. I worked with the attorney Alan Isaacman, who was fictionalized in the movie The People versus Larry Flint. He was played by Ed Norton, but I knew the guy in real life. He went to the Supreme Court and defended Larry Flint over free speech and Jerry Falwell. He did a parody of a Jerry Falwell ad in Hustle. It was obviously fake. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the reason today we can make fun of politicians and public figures is because of the court case that Larry Flint won. He almost gave his life fighting for free speech. And I worked for the man because Film Threat was owned by Larry Flint in the 90s. In any case, we did this column called Tales from the Casting Couch, which resulted in the Geraldo did an episode about our story. This is 25 years before Me Too. But the biggest complaint were from other members of SAG who saw their colleagues give of favors and then rise in positions or get cast in movies. So it wasn't like going after the producers that were doing this. It was other people in SAG saying, hey, this person did this thing. I don't think this is right. We did a series of stories and, no one, SAG even responded to Film Threat back in the day. I'll send you the news clip, Gary. You won't believe it. You won't believe my hair.
Oh, we should go over that sometime. We should go over that sometime. I think that's something worth going over.
It's interesting, but it was just like, I just thought it was surprising because I come to Hollywood. I'm like, the whole casting couch thing is just this thing from the 40s. It's like something that happened in old Hollywood. And it was transactional. And what I'll point out is a couple things we learned is this happened with both men and women.
Yes. And that it came short of too. Remember a couple of men tried to speak up during Me Too. And they were shut down as well.
And so I find it surprising that the people who suffered under Me Too or suffered the attacks of Me Too, some justified for sure. The ones that, a lot of them. And
the ones that are in jail.
The ones that are in jail, yes. There are other ones. I'm not 100%. We could talk about Aziz Ansari and some other ones there. But what I do find surprising
Roy Price
is
got screwed over.
I think some people were not treated fairly, but one thing that's interesting is it's all a certain type of person, only generally one type of person.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's all I'll say. I don't want to get, I feel like when this Disney story comes out, like it's going to be over for me.
No, it's not. It's going to be off to the races. No.
I don't know.
Don't worry about it. I mean, if you lose some access, I've never had.
Oh, I don't care about access.
Yeah,
that I don't care.
But no. If you're fair with the story, I think more people will come to you. You're going to be taken on the system. That's what you do, man. You're rebel.
Right. But I pay to see movies every week. I don't care about the access.
Yeah. I know you don't. I know you don't.
But
you don't need it. You don't fucking need it. Drinker doesn't get access.
I can tell you.
I don't get access.
I can tell you with 100% certainty that I have said things that people could take out of context or even in context. And go after me. I don't care. There have actually been attempts to cancel me in the past a couple times, and I just ignore it.
That's all you do.
If you ignore it, the next jangly keys are over here,
Yep,
and you
something
just
else will
wait
happen.
a couple days and it's over.
They'll get bored and get moved to somebody else. So the rest of the super chat says, "Hail Friday Night Tights for giving film threat the Fellowship rub. R.I.P. Az. Yeah, rest in peace, Az.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
He will be
Thank
missed."
you.
Matthew Faxine for 50 Canadian pesos. You think LA is bad? I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, the one of the most expensive cities in North America. It has been going downhill for years, and it used to be beautiful, by the way, a beautiful city. Tons of homelessness, mental issues, and massive drug problems. It is really sad to see. Yep. Well, the drug problems were are carried over from the oxycodone, Vicodin, for lack of a better term, pandemic of addiction during the Obama administration. And once they cut, really? Did my camera just cut out
Oh, your
again?
camera just went. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this computer. I think it's the wire. But quickly, and then when they were cut off, everybody went to fentanyl. It was cheaper, and now it's just gotten worse. So you can thank the drug companies that everybody's been worshiping for that.
It was pointed out. I'm trying to hear where I heard this. It might have been PBD, Patrick Bet-David, who said that, the United States is one of the few countries in the world where the pharmaceutical companies can advertise on television. We're one of the few countries where that's allowed. It's not allowed in other countries. If we just cut that off, it would probably, within a couple of years, you'd see the mainstream media die, because that is the bulk of their advertising. That's why they have such influence when it comes to editorial. So I blame X-Ray Girl and her affiliation with the medical industry.
No.
I blame her.
Yeah. And also advertising. Advertising. There's a drug for everything. Andrew Nielsen for $15. Hey, Nerdrotic, I went to my local comic book store and bought some Daredevil issues. Hell yeah. Wondering if you had any good recommendations. Also, really glad you liked the One Piece live action. I freaking loved it. So with Daredevil, I own the entire run of Daredevil. So I wrote up to a certain issue, right? So I gave up when I stopped buying comics 3 years ago. And I won't even read the newer stuff. It's there. It's in a pile, and I won't even read it. But for recommendations, absolutely start out with the Frank Miller run. Do both Frank Miller runs. They're utterly fantastic. But even the Innocenti runs are fucking great. Like there's even Brubaker's run is really good. And you know what? Mark Waid had a good run a little bit, but no, not Mark Waid. Sorry. I'm Bendis's run was really good. I liked Bendis's run a lot. I got him mixed up with Mark Waid. Sorry. But, and then Brubaker's one was great. So you have a lot of options. It's been consistently one of the better comic books over the decades. You can't go wrong, but start with Frank Miller. And then, after that, if you can afford it or get some trades, you can go to the early stuff, the Stan Lee stuff, when he was the happiest blind guy alive. He's just a chippy, happy. Daredevil is Marvel's punching bag. Daredevil is what I love in a hero. That's why I like Daredevil and Wolverine. They have grit. And their superpower, like Daredevil's superpower is not but it's not the radar sense. He's fucking tough, and he's a man without fear. He has no fear. He's got balls. Wolverine's greatest attribute is not his claws. It's his healing power. It's the fact that guy could just take a beating, and I like that. Beaver Gladiator for $5. Gary, please tell Chris that sorry, Beaver Gladiator. I just caught that. That he cannot use the name Disney Files. It is the name of a DVC magazine. They are occult acolytes and will use and cease and desist to bury and suppress it. Well, I don't think if there's a magazine out, I don't think that keeps you from using the headline Disney Files at all.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, also, I actually don't really care so much about the name. It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to change it if they try to do cease and desist. That's fine. We'll change it. But I think I don't know what else to call it. If anyone else has a good name, the chat, what would be a good name for a series of stories exposing all the things happening within
Disney Exposed.
Just call it the D.
That's what I'll call my video. Disney
The D
Exposed.
files.
The D files. The
Anyways, if
D
anyone's
files.
got ideas for
That's a good title.
the D files. I mean, whatever. Like, look, I don't want to upset. We're not trying to compete with them. So obviously, we'll come up with a different name that'll be similar, but definitely don't want. And thank you for that.
Yep.
The chat always knows more than
They always know more.
Sometimes
Project Egg Roll. Project Egg Roll. For
Egg
$50.
Roll!
Great hanging out with you, Phil. Love y'all. Can't hang out. Work is pounding my butt.
That's gay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's gay porn, you know. No, Phil. I know what Phil does. Phil is a talented guy. NXPTVNE. I don't know. That's supposed to spell something, but I'm too retarded. I have no clue. $9.99. Hello, Gary, Chris, and X-Ray Girl. I had a great time watching your panel on Sunday, and you have even convinced my woke family members to check out your content since y'all were speaking the truth. Well, hopefully we convert some people to common sense. That's all we're trying to do here. All right, we can get a couple more before we got to get out of here. I tried to get to most of them. Joel Slayer for $5 with a purposeful grimace and a terrible sound. He pulls the spinning tension wires down. Matt, how do you say that last name? It's French. Guillemette?
Guillemette?
So it's French. So we're gonna go Guillemette.
Mr. G.
What do you call a cow with one leg? Steak. Does he get
I'll take it.
He gets it. Thomas Bergman for $5. The Marvels could have been saved if they played up the giant golden ganja leaf and Captain Marvel's new outfit. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It looks. I said her new outfit looks like Warlock spunked on her chest. Miss Wolf TR for 200 Czechoslovakian pesos. I can talk. Will Monica Rambeau be in Deadpool 3 to pay off Marvel's end credit scene? Will Binary? They connected Deadpool 3 to the Marvels so they will keep continuity or just not show them at all. I think it's supposed to set up Avengers. That would be my guess. But my true answer is I don't give a fuck. I will never see him again.
Yeah.
Doctor Who has a COVID officer and a COVID assistant, says Jeff Smith for £2 British. I'm not surprised. Even though it's a fucking cold, it's not going to go away. What happened to that mystery pneumonia that was going on right now? I think it's still going on.
They tried to push it. It didn't happen. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Remember when monkeypox was a big thing and then it got the children and dogs and they just kind of shut up about it?
Right. Yeah. I feel like there's just a general mistrust of mainstream media now. Like, it's like how many, like, it's just I cannot believe if they didn't have the funding that they have, it'd be dying a lot quicker.
Yep.
I saw a video on Stephen Colbert. Someone did a video on him and just how compromised he's become. And it's just sad. I remember really liking him. I remember really thinking he was funny and he had insights and he sort of stayed in character, sort of making fun, just sort of making light of a right-wing pundit. And it was a shtick and he never broke character, but he talked to politicians and had real conversations. And I think he's incapable of it now.
Yep.
I don't know what
they've all sold out.
Where in your head do you have to be? It's like, well, I need to be making $10 million a year and there's this or 20 million.
Broke these people. Trump broke these. But for one, he's rich enough. You're right. But Trump broke these people beyond repair because they really thought they were fighting like Hitler. They had convinced themselves that they were fighting off Hitler with Trump. And that wasn't the case. And now they're wrong and they can't admit it.
Right.
So they're just losing their fucking minds. Like him or not, that's not what he turned out to be. I never thought he was that, but that a lot of people were just fucking hysterical. And then we saw those same hysterical people get hysterical over COVID. And they were all actors and rock stars who were supposed to be rock and roll rebels, and they all turned into giant pussies.
Right. I don't know. I'm just, what's weird to me, that's what's weird is the music industry. I mean, there used to be, people were so anti-establishment. How did anti-establishment become not cool? And to me, I always just think I just question everything. I question everything. That is like to me, that's just drilled in my head of like something that and it sounds like, I don't know if you know about this new bill in California where all children from K through 12 have to be given media literacy training so that I think that is just so nefarious.
State media literacy, which is you need to interpret it the way the state says.
Yeah.
That whole term media literacy is usually brought out by life illiteracy. That's
right.
It's the life illiterate buy into media literacy because that's state approved. Authoritative.
Yeah, I just
sources.
don't get what happened to music. I mean, look, I'm not a fan of a lot of new music that's made today anyways. I think it's mostly just pop garbage that, it's not shocking that AI can replicate it pretty easily. But
the mask is off. They weren't rebels. Once they sold out, they just sold out. That's the truth of it. That's the truth of it.
It's just
Empty
so
shells.
sad.
Get in nerds for £5 Adobe Podcast is great for cleaning up audio for the panels, if that helps. All right.
What is it?
Adobe Podcast.
I don't even want to get started talking about those panels and what my plans were to take one of the great panels that we're able to do and actually present it. I would have loved that. I would have loved anyone out there who could help me when it comes to a future panel. Please reach out. I would love to talk to you. I'd love to talk to you.
I'm thinking about and pass that on. Email Chris.
Thank you.
I'm thinking about writing my first comic. Do you have any advice? Write it. Just write it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. It's going to be your first comic. I would say, if you've never written one before, just basically go take a look, get final draft or just look at how a comic script is done. It's not entirely different than a TV script or a movie script. They're not that fundamentally different. Daily Writing Pundit for $4.99. Do they do it to destroy heroes, distort values, and destroy culture? They don't care about customers' money now. It's a platform for propaganda. You're right. That's exactly what Doctor Who is. And RTD has basically come out and said that. Reality Now for $5. You should have just watched their adult hearing in Florida. Disney World is screwed on tax fraud. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh, okay. This is a story I have not kept up with.
So Reuters came out with this. This wasn't just like some thing that over the Reedy Creek thing. And I don't know, I'm not intimate on this. Go watch Legal Mindset. That's a great channel to watch this
really
stuff.
Yeah, I was talking. We were DMing and having a conversation.
Yeah, so
talking about different stuff. So.
Basically, Disney was bribing everybody who was on the board and making a decision with free passes and property and like real bribes. Like this is like shit people should go to jail for and won't. All right, one more, then we got to get out of here. John Edgar for $5. Hi, Gary. Speaking of independent comics, could we please get Mandy Summers on FNT sometime? She's awesome, hilarious, and arguably the first lady of CG. I like Mandy. Mandy's cool. I'm open to it. We should get her on the real BBC. I think that would be a better one. Hey, just wanted to say thanks for Godzilla review. Convinced me to go, and it really is one of the best movies I've seen. Best this year by far, says Roger Rubio for $5. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And we will get the rest in the square up. We're going to close things out so Chris can get to his other show. And so I can, I've got to do something with Mahler today later that you will see and hear about on Friday. Well, you'll hear about it Friday and you'll see it at a later date, but it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So Chris, what do you got coming up?
I have the Film Threat, our show on Wednesday, which is Hollywood on the Rocks. We're going to talk about Lady Ballers. We'll also do a little debrief, the fun that we had. I'm going to be showing videos and other fun stuff from LA Comic-Con. And then, we're interviewing a filmmaker. I forget, but we try to do filmmaker interviews. A filmmaker we're going to be interviewing on Friday, just to plug our Friday live stream. We're interviewing Jeremy Kuhn, who was the producer of the movie Napoleon Dynamite. He made a documentary, Gary. I just watched it. Just came out on VOD. You would love this doc. It's called A Disturbance in the Force.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is
it's about the holiday special.
Oh my God. First of all, I know the holiday special. I didn't know what happened behind the scenes. How, oh my God, the behind the scenes stories. And it goes into detail about George's involvement. The filmmakers who made this, dug up so many incredible stories. It's a 90-minute doc. Just came out on VOD. I've got the filmmaker, Jeremy Kuhn, will be on the show on Friday. And then we're going to be talking about this movie, Poor Things, starring Emma Stone, that everybody, it will cause conversation. That's all I'm going to say.
In what way?
It's a Bride of Frankenstein like story. And I don't want to give it away. But it's Bride of Frankenstein type story, but it has a lot of graphic sex, Emma Stone, full frontal nude. I know you're against that.
Totally.
But it's a film that will cause conversation. It's one of the movies that I saw and I'm like, I don't even know if I like this, but I can't stop thinking about it. So I don't know. Alan is supposed to see it and we're going to discuss on Friday. So
excellent.
Power of boobs.
Power of boobs.
Yeah, boobs are in it. A lot of boobs.
Excellent. What do you got coming up, X-Ray Girl?
I'm gonna be on Poor Choices tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be gaming because I still have to unpack, and this is like a big pile of mess behind me.
We were just talking about
game,
that for
but
the show.
you know, got lots of good stuff. I have a new statue, so it's right here. You can see it.
Ah,
Sailor Mars.
You also have a lot of boxes behind you.
I know. And while we were out, this came in. This was really cool. It's a piece of wood that's laser engraved. I can't reach it because of my headphones, but
I have some of those with the
it's really
Hobbits
cool.
on it. Yeah, those are very cool.
Very cool. So thank you.
Excellent.
Before we wrap, I had such a great time hanging out with everybody.
Aww.
It was so much fun just to be at a con, knowing you were around, hanging out, eating, drinking, going crazy. We had so much fun at the con. I can't even I'm still kind of still not 100% back because we went really hard. But God, what a great time. And
you are a force of nature, dude. You're a
I don't
force
know
of
how you
nature.
do it.
I don't know how you do it.
I work hard. I play hard.
There you go. Attaboy.
And just hanging out with X-Ray Girl and Karen and the whole gang was just a blast. So there you go.
I went to bed at 9:30 last night and slept like 10 hours, so I'm completely recharged. Yeah, we drove all night, so cool. Well, go tune in to Film Threat in a little bit, and we'll see you guys on Friday Night Tights. We're going to have Mahler back and Disbrew will be back, and we'll discuss the week's events. I think I might be making an appearance tomorrow on... Somewhere. We'll just
open bar?
Yeah. Open bar.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Okay. And it's just to be clear, FNT is still as free.
It's still as free because he's dead.
As free.
He's dead. So,
and
you just saw an avatar yesterday.
Yeah. We got great AI tools.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I'm not against AI. Shad set it up for me. It was an AI as. That's right. All right, so
that's great.
We will catch all of you later. Thank you to the Modrotics. Always appreciate you. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. You help keep the lights on. Hail to the fellowship. You guys do truly. We don't deserve you guys. We don't. You're so great, and you give me hope for this world. And that's why I don't blackpill, because I have faith in the fellowship. So we will see you next time. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Later.